Hi and welcome to Magic Numbers. This is episode number 177 and we have the skeleton crew today because the new set is coming and we're going to be talking about the skeleton decks for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My guests for today are Jason Ye.
Hello.
Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
I don't know. I'm not that excited for this set, but I guess I'm here.
Well, not excited, but here. As you can see, duty before pleasure. And Springbok7.
Hi, I'm back.
How are you doing?
Wow.
You're back, exactly. You haven't been for quite a while, but skeleton crew is large, and we have to adjust our calendars, and often someone has to sit set out. I'm in a lucky position of always being there. Are you excited for the Teenage Ninja Turtles Magic the Gathering?
I have not seen an episode of the show before, so I'm as excited as I can be considering that.
I am a 90s child. I have seen one of the early iterations of the cartoon. It was a long time ago. Small trivia, when I was maybe 10, I went to a fancy dress party and I wanted to go dressed up as Raphael. And my mom made me a costume from like scraps of some old dresses that she had. So yeah, I'm technically a big fan. I have to say I was not excited for the set at all, but I played a bit and I'm actually a bit more excited. It looks better than the Spider-Man, that's for sure, for me at least. But you may wonder, what are those skeletons that we were talking about? Instead of going through a proper set review and reviewing every single card and then grading them from A to F, we decided that it's more useful for us to build small draft decks based on the cards from the set. There are some very loose rules about how to build those decks. We normally start with reasonable numbers, so we have like between 0 and 2 rares and mythics without duplication. 0 to 10 uncommons in each deck. Some duplicates are okay, but without pushing it. And then we fill up the deck with commons, maximum 2 of each, and then add basics, and we have a deck ready. And those decks can serve different purposes. Some of them we build to showcase what the design team wants us to be building. Some of them we build to what we think might be an interesting way of building things. Sometimes we just want to build something completely unique. It's literally what you make of it, but it's a good exercise in trying to understand the format before you had hands on the cards yourselves. I highly recommend doing that. By building them, you actually learn the set quite easily, so that there are some advantages of doing that. Okay, before we go to the actual deck skeletons, we usually start with a brief introduction of the format, and it is a tradition almost that the first thing we talk about is the stats for the removal. And in those stats, I'm going to tell you what percentage of creatures will be killed by a particular spell. And here, normally, I have a thing that kills something with toughness of 1, as you can see by the number 1. But there is nothing that kills things with 1 toughness in this set. If it were that we had the card like that, it would kill around 18% of the common creatures, around a quarter of uncommons, and around 11% of the rares and mythics, which is not much. It's a set without too many of the X1 creatures, but come to think of it, there is plenty of things that generate 1/1 tokens, so there's going to be a lot of X1/1s flying around. However, no ways of efficiently killing them, just do the 1 damage. In terms of dealing 2 damage, there is no shock in this set, but there is Stomped by the Foot, which gives -2/-2. Now, of course, giving -2/-2 is slightly better than just shocking something, because you can reduce a 4/4 to be a 2/2 and block it with a 3/3, for example. But if you want to use Stomped by the Foot as a pure removal, you can kill around 40% of commons, 45% of uncommons, and quarter of the rares and mythics. This is again on the lower side. So what we can see from that data, or what I can see because I know all the previous sets, is that there is a lot of things with 3 or 4 toughness. This is like very dominant, like more than a more than a half of the creatures in the set are either 3 or 4 toughness. Because Manhole Missile, which deals 3 damage to target creature, will kill around 70% of commons and uncommons and around half of the rares. So that's quite a good result for a 2-drop at common. That also allows you to maybe filter some of your draws. And Spicy Oatmeal Pizza, we're having killer pizzas in this set. That's totally legit. Which deals 4 damage to any target. That will kill around 93% of the creatures at lower rarity and 3/4 of the creatures at rare and mythic. Which again is quite a lot. Like 4 damage will deal with most of the things. And then we have Stomp by the Foot can be also kicked. It will kill around 97% of the commons and uncommons and 85% of the rares and mythics. So it's Stomp by the Foot with kicker is as close to unconditional removal as you can get. There is also a 6 damage spell, and that will do the same, like 92%. I think it jumps to 92% at rare and still 97% at common and uncommon. Mainly because that 3% are 2 creatures with 7 toughness, basically. There is also some conditional removal. Make Your Move is returning. We had that card before. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. And when I looked at all the artifact creatures and all the creatures with power 4 or greater, I came up with it kills around 36% of common and uncommon and 45% of the rares and mythics. Which is technically not terrible, especially that there's quite a number of enchantments and artifacts that are not creatures that you might be willing to destroy. Which makes me think that at least in some decks you want to play 1 copy of the Make Your Move. Especially when you have, I don't know, in white-red you have a creature that can rummage every turn. If you have one of those, then maybe playing Make Your Move as a sort of bet hedging strategy is not going to be terrible. Then we have Death in the Family, and this one exiles target creature with mana value 3 or less. 64% of commons will die to it, and around half of uncommons and rares. I think that this card probably is going to be better in Golgari decks. They seem to be more likely to be wanting to survive early game and therefore focusing on killing early creatures, while the black-white wants to be maybe more aggressive and wants to be focusing on playing creatures early in the game, which makes the Death in the Family a bit less useful for that deck. And lastly, we have the Mutant Chain Reaction, which is some sort of a play on Broken Wings. It's 3 mana, it's a sorcery this time. You can destroy up to 1 artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, and as a bonus you create a mutagen token. We will learn about those later, but it kills around 30% of commons, 40% of uncommons, and 17% of rares and mythics. Good news for the sweeper haters in this set, there's only 2. One is Jenika's Technique that deals 2 damage to each creature at instant speed, and you can sneak it. Also, we're going to learn what sneak does. And we have a proper Wrath in the Last Ronin. That's a 6 mana saga. That first chapter is Destroy All Creatures. It's a mythic, so hopefully you won't be seeing it too often on the opposing side of the battlefield because it looks pretty busted. Second chapters, you mill 4 cards and then return a creature from the graveyard to your hand, and then third chapters, whenever creature you control attacks alone this turn, you can put 3 counters on it. It gains trample, lifelink, and indestructible until end of turn, which is plenty of value from that card. So this one will be, it's very much what was the Ronin saga? The Legend of Ronin? The Rise of Sozin. Rise of Sozin. Sozin, Ronin, same thing. But it has very much the Rise of Sozin vibes, and Rise of Sozin was the best card in the set, so can be pretty good, this one. But I don't think it will be as good as the Rise of Sozin. Yeah, the fact that it doesn't also create a creature on its own is something that the other one had. In terms of the creature sizing, as I said, it's not like a lot of the X1s in this set. It's not like as few as in the ECL, but it's not many of those. Also, it is the lowest count of things that are killed by shock since Wilds of Eldraine. So that's something to know, that not many things can die from a shock, which potentially makes Stomped by the Foot slightly worse. And then we have a roughly normal number of the 3 damage things killed by 3 damage, and on the high end of things that are killed by 4 damage spells. So that's how it looks like. As I said, this set is quite particular in the way that 54% of the creatures have 3 and 4 toughness. That's quite a lot. When you sum it up, I don't think many sets are close to that number. And for a set, it's weird because for things with more than 4 toughness, normally the sets that have high number of those creatures are the sets with land cyclers. But in this particular set, land cyclers are markedly smaller than they used to be in the previous set. They are not the 6 drops anymore, they are more 5 drops, and some of them come with multiple bodies, and weirdly, even more weirdly than anything else, the white land cycler looks like it's playable, which never was the case before. So because of that, the creatures with more than 4 toughness are a bit low for a set with land cyclers, but a bit high for a set that doesn't have land cyclers. So it's like a weird combination. We'll have to see how it is going to work. Okay, then we have new keyword, sneak. Who wants to introduce sneak?
I can talk about sneak. So the important thing to know about this mechanic that makes it different than ninjutsu, there are 2 things. First of all, this involves putting spells on the stack as opposed to like activating abilities. So like it's not just like you can counter these with counter spells. I think there's like not that many counter spells in the set, so that doesn't matter that much, but like that is something to note. And secondly, you can only do this in the declaring blocker step. So like after blockers are declared, you can sneak things, but you cannot sneak things after damage. So you can't do the thing where you attack with the creature and then after damage you use sneak to like swap it with something. But a lot of these are going to be pretty powerful to sneak, though there are some that are more questionable, especially the rare ones. But still, a lot of these will be pretty reasonable to cast either like for their full cost or for their sneak cost. Also, some things care about whether they were snuck. Also, if you sneak a creature, it will enter tapped and attacking automatically. Though if you sneak a non-creature spell that makes creature tokens, I think there may be only one of those, and that one says that the creature tokens enter tapped and attacking if it was snuck. So generally, things will enter tapped and attacking. So yeah, definitely an interesting mechanic. Like ninjutsu is always an interesting mechanic, and this will definitely add more layers on top of that. With like potentially you could be sneaking to cast like Kurai's technique as a combat check, for example. That's something that you might want to think about when blocking. Though, to be honest, mostly the way that you would think about that when blocking is by saying, if I let something go unblocked, I could get extremely blown out by Kurai's technique, and there's not very many ways to avoid it.
Yeah. So how do you think it will impact combat in general? Because, yeah, ninjutsu always was tricky with combat situations. Like, you are more incentivized to block.
Yeah, definitely you're more incentivized to block. That said, I don't think there's that many like value like in Neon Dynasty, the previous ninjutsu format, we had like Virus Beetle, which was a pretty big like value thing to pick up with the sneak. I don't know if there's anything that's super like that in this set. Like you
Not
can get
like that, no.
all value things, but I don't know about like anything that's as huge as like getting a full card off of sneak in.
Yeah, there's the pigeon that gives you some sort of value.
It gives a food, but that's not like...
There are the beavers. The beavers is a 1 mana 1/1 flyer that on enters drains 1 and then scries 1.
Yeah, I think one thing I do want to caution is that like not all of these things should be snuck, right? Like, for example, these like foot ninjas, this like 6 mana 5/5 ETB gain 3 life with sneak for 4 mana. If you're like, if you're attacking with a 3 mana thing, like it literally costs you more to sneak it, right? Because you need to like pay the sneak cost and then you need to replay the 3 mana creature. And like maybe that's good. Maybe you want to get in the 5 damage immediately. Maybe like you have a ETB you can rebuy, but you need to like actually think about it. And it's not just like default. You should always sneak. Whereas I think I think previously there were a lot like in previous ninjutsu sets there were a lot more cards that like obviously it's much better if you can ninjutsu it in, whereas this it's like I mean like none of the cards here. Oh, okay, Leonardo Leader in Blue like has a like additional effects that happens when you sneak him in, but like a 1 mana 2/1's also kind of nice, like, and that's much cheaper.
Well,
like,
I mean, it's also arguably a good card to return to your hand at some stage, no?
Yeah.
Because the fact that there's an activation trick of getting first strike means that it will be often not blocked, I guess. And then sneaking it back to your hand somewhere like turn 4 when maybe the 2/1 is not as effective, and then getting the very announced sneak from it, and also it hits for 4 when it gets snuck. So
yeah, but basically what I'm saying is be careful. Like, don't always just default to sneaking or not sneaking. Like, actually think about like what's valuable.
I've already been on that in the early access when I snuck in my Leonardo or something, and then it turned out that I actually dealt 1 damage less and then spent the same mana as I would just cast it for nothing. Yeah, but I did the thing. And also, like, the spells are weird because you sneak them for mana discount at the cost of damage pushing. It's like Shredder's technique, for example.
I mean, and it's also not obviously a mana discount, right? Because like you're probably picking up something that costs at least 2 mana. Like maybe I'm dropping. It's great, but the benefit is mostly that you get to cast these sorceries in combat. I think is the main benefit. Like I think a lot of the sorceries you just should not be afraid to cast them for, like just as sorceries if they're good.
Yeah, Karai's technique is still a decent card when you can kill the blocker and make 1 attacker, forcing them to trade it for nothing or jump with something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to Disappear. Maybe Springbok wants to take this one.
Sure. So this is Disappear. So there's 9 cards. Most are in black-green and again mostly on commons. These trigger at different times, end of turn or when the card enters. So reading your card and figuring out the triggering condition is going to be important for this. That cares about creatures leaving the battlefield, and it's kind of what black-green wants to be about.
Permanence.
So, yes, permanence leaving the battlefield. It's like
very important because my escape tunnel plan for triggering Disappear is still valid because of that.
Yeah, it's like Revolt was back in Kaladesh, or was that Aether Revolt? That block.
Yeah. That was before my times. Yeah, and there's not really much to say about it. It's going to be more covered when we talk about the set, the color combination itself, because it is literally a mechanic that is typical for the color combination. And it's the same with the second one, Alliance. That's a returning one. This one is whenever another creature you control enters, something happens, and it will always be a different thing. And there are 10 cards with that. They are exclusively in Boros. They care about creatures entering, and they are also exclusively found on creatures, which, I don't know, call me a conspiracy theorist, but it points to me that you want to be having creatures in Boros. And we're going to check it in a second. Is it true that Boros is creature-centric this time? Then we have a new token, and it's called Mutagen. Jason, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, these are very simple. You just pay 1, sack it, put a counter on a creature. Notably, you can put a counter on your opponent's creature. I actually saw, judging pre-release RCQ, someone consider doing that because their opponent had something that like drew cards and lost some rare that drew cards and lost life equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it, and they were like, is it worth it to give my opponent one more card and one more counter in exchange for dealing them 1 extra damage? But keep that in mind. I guess it's not always going to be relevant. Maybe make your move also.
Yeah, maybe make your move.
But yeah, there's a bunch of like +1/+1 counter synergies. It's also just like an inherently powerful thing to be able to like move this kind of counter around, like to have flexibility where the counter goes. But like, you know, does cost mana to use, so keep that in mind. And of course, it ties into artifact stuff.
Yeah, and I think that this can also be a good like addition to the blue-red decks. I think that mostly you want to have things that are literal artifacts, but having a couple of things that make mutagen tokens also is going to work with at least some of the artifact payoffs. And again, this is very much like Alliance and Disappear. It's basically a mechanic that is in its color pair, and there's only the ooze, which is absolutely broken. That is non-simic, but technically also fits in simic because it's a colorless artifact. So yeah, I think maybe one addition that 8 of the 12 cards that produce mutagens come with a body that can take the counters, which is not completely true because Zoo SKPs will never receive the counter that they produced. Oh no, poor Bebop and Rocksteady. And we have the class cards. Springbok, you want to chat about those?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So these are 4 enchantments, or 5 enchantments. They're rares. They're in each color. They mostly ask you to do something pretty specific for like some kind of reward, and some of these are much better limited than others.
Yeah, I see that some of them they will ask you to do something specific, like discarding cards or having multiple artifacts in your decks, or having creatures in case of leader's talent.
Yeah.
A great ask from a clearly card that is pretty broken. Ninja Teen is asking you also to have creatures, which is great, and also to die, for those creatures to die, so they can you can get them back. This is another sneak card that maybe was not on the sneak list, because the Ninja Teen gives creatures in your graveyard sneak, which is I can attest is a great ability. And there's Party Dude, which is an interesting card that I think is going to cause you to lose more frequently than you think. Because how I saw this card is that it's useless against some decks, and against some decks you're just going to lose because they're going to mill you out with their artifacts sacrificing. Interesting. Then we have some fixing. Jason, you are our eternal expert on fixing and building 5-color decks, so...
Well, I mean, we might as well just go into my blue-green shell, clearly.
Not yet. First talk us through the fixing. Then we'll see all of that
3
fixing.
mana dorks, 1 at common, 1 at uncommon, 1 at rare, or 3 fixing mana dorks. There's also a red mana dork that taps for artifacts. And all 3 of them are very powerful. Frog Butler being like, usually we don't see these mana dorks that like also like matter in terms of bodies a lot in the late game, but like this is kind of like what's it called, Poison Dirt Frog from LCI, except it always has Death Touch instead of always having Reach, and you can pay to give it Reach, and that's like even stronger than the other way around, because like you can just always trade it off for their grand creature, and you can pay to trade it off with the flyer.
Yeah, it's also like with bite spells, it's so much better to always have Death Touch on.
Yeah. So Frog Butler seems very strong to me in terms of a fixer. Mona Lisa, the joke is obviously with mutagens. You can like you can make her tap for a lot more than just 1 mana, and like the reach is also kind of nice for blocking flyers. Transdimensional Bovine is a pretty silly one at rare.
The joke is the card itself.
Yes, exactly.
You didn't hear my combo with Mona Lisa, the guac pizza.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, two
that is
guac pizzas and you generate 8 mana. That has to be good.
But yeah, so those are the mana dork fixtures, which are probably going to be the best ones. Everything pizza is interesting in that it's one of these, like, Path to World Tree or a Dragon's Brood relics or Courier's briefcase or whatever. Like one of these things, like give you some 5-color fixing and then give you a way to turn having 5-color mana and paying a bunch of it into like a large effect. I think this one is like worse than the ones we've seen in the past, because like it only draws 1 card. Making your opponent discard a card is good, but like it would be nicer if it drew 2 cards so that you could like more reliably rely on it for like your late game stuff. Source, I played 2 of these in the one pre-release that I played in, or that I was judging and played in to not have there be a buy, but I would never choose to play this format. It's not actually true, but either way, it's still like a pretty big board impact. Deals 3 is pretty good for killing creatures, but it is definitely meaningful that it doesn't, like, if you have not much going on, it doesn't like actually help you generate an unbeatable advantage as much as other effects like this have, because like it doesn't give you an additional body. You have to like have a body that's already on the battlefield that like growing matters. It kills like only something pretty small. It gains you some life. It only draws you 1 card. So I would say that like if you are like actually 5-color and like actually like pretty good at enabling this, it's not bad, but it's not going
It's more like a reward than the reason.
Yeah, it's not. It's much worse than like Path to the World Tree or Dragon's Brood Relic, in my opinion.
Yeah, or the what was the Edge of Eternity's hexproof creature?
Survey Mechan.
Yeah, it's also much worse than Survey Mechan.
Yeah, there we go.
But mostly, Survey Mechan was good because it was so cheap to activate when you were doing the thing.
Yeah.
Partially.
I of course I also played Everything Pizza in my pre-release because why wouldn't I? I actually splashed it and it was ridiculous, useless, but still fun.
Everything Pizza was certainly the deck I played at pre-release was very strong. It had 2 Frog Butlers, a Mona Lisa, 2 Everything Pizzas, the green creature that finds food, but like the pizzas were like good but not unbeatable, I guess.
Yeah, and that was in the slower format as well.
Yeah. I would not recommend playing the Explosive Vegetation. The format seems too powerful for that, but I don't know. I think the Adventurous Impulse, like Cowabunga thing, I assume it's going to depend on whether you have enough Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for that one.
I guess it's mainly Mutant and Turtle for this card, because ninjas are focused on white and black, so...
Yeah, but like you can have some ninjas in green sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah, but they're usually turtles at the same time, so...
The draw 3 is very strong. The draw 3 is just a very strong draw 3, like 4-mana draw 3. Sign me up.
What do we think about playing magic cards on a magic card?
I don't care.
Me either.
There you go. Weathermaker, that looks pretty strong.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, we also have mana fixing. Not much of it, but we do have a common lands, which should be, from what I actually tried to figure out, around 60% of the packs should have them, which would mean that they are a bit more common than commons. So that's one thing. There's Escape Tunnel, which is an interesting twist on the Evolving Wilds, especially with Sneak, because you can sacrifice it to give something unblockable and then sneak it if you really need to. And we have Turtle Lair, which is clearly going to be something that goes straight to Commander decks, and we don't care about it at all. But I assume that ninja commander decks are going to be wanting it.
I don't know. I could see playing Turtle Lair if you have enough like ninjas or turtles to make unblockable. Like it's like a sort of powerful effect.
Maybe if you have like 10 ninjas and turtles in your deck, maybe. And as you wrote here, also we do have land cyclers at common. So most of them cost 5 mana. Only one of them costs 6 mana. And yeah, we have the land cyclers that cycle for 2, which is not optimal. And some of them actually seem like playable cards. So they might just go on merit and have the cycling as a sort of bonus. Gold cards, we do have a lot of them. So we have 2 hybrid common creatures for each color combination, and there are only 5 color combinations in this set. So, you know, there's total 10 common hybrid creatures. One of them is always 1 pip, and one of them is 2 pips. For each of the color pairs, we're going to go through them when we go to each color pair. There's also 2 signposts, of which one is a creature and one is a non-creature for each color pair. Then we have 10 hybrid rare legend teams of legendary creatures. So here we have Michelangelo and Donatello, and there is Toka and Razar, whoever they are. But they also will come in the unsupported color combinations like Rakdos here. So that's interesting. Obviously, you can pay red or black for it, so you can put it in your white-black deck. But this one specifically is super hard to cast in on curve in those type of decks. But they do offer some kind of build-around potential in some cases. And then there's 3 random multicolor mythics. They are in supported color pairs, but not every supported color pairs gets the mythic. Okay, so let's start. Time to move to the skeletons. And we can talk through the decks. I think Springbok, you'll have 4. Jason has 2 of them. And we start with the black and white, which is sneaky ninjas. It's all about sneaking ninjas in. Ta-da! And the hybrids we have, Foot Elite is a 3 mana 2/4, and when it attacks, another creature control gets +1/+0 and indestructible until end of turn. Therefore, it disencourages blocking it. And Foot Elite hopefully has enough toughness that it can attack well in the early turns. So it sort of like enables one of your creatures to get in, and then you can sneak something in or just push damage through. Then we have Foot Ninjas. That's a 6 mana 5/5, and it has Sneak for 4, and when it enters you gain 3 life. So this is the sort of like dumb beast kind of situation when you sneak it in just to push damage. Or you can, as Jason said, you can just cast it and have a big 5/5 that gives you 3 life. Interestingly, this creature is like way more suitable for a control deck than for an aggressive deck. So I don't know what's with the gain life there. As I said, we have 2 signposts, Karai and Karai's Technique. Karai is a 3/3. When it deals combat damage to a player, you can return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. But if Karai was snuck, instead you return that card to the battlefield, so you can reanimate something, and the sneak cost is 4 mana. So it actually, you have to pay a premium for sneaking it in. This one doesn't get a discount, quite the opposite, it costs you more. And we have Karai's Technique, 3 mana for a sorcery. Choose one or both, target creature gets +3/+3, target creature gets -3/-3, and you can sneak that spell for white and a black, so 2 mana at instant, well, sort of instant speed, but only in the particular spot where you can sneak things in. And yeah, that can be quite a large swing, especially that you're doing it after the blockers have been declared, so you know exactly which creature to pump, and you know exactly which creature to make smaller. So enablers that I found, that I decided to highlight, Squirrelonoids, it's a 1 mana 1/1 Death Toucher. It's just a great creature because it's cheap for the sneak, and no one wants to block it. And if they block it, well, at least it takes something down with it. And April O'Neil Kunoichi Trainee, that's a 2-mana 2/2. When it enters, you scry 2. And April O'Neil can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater, which also makes it difficult to be blocked for most of the creatures. And the enters the battlefield effect means that despite having to repay 2 mana to recast it if you sneak it, you're still probably okay, because the later in the game, the more advantageous the Scry 2 becomes. And yes, it's not Virus Beetle that literally takes away a card from the opponent, like we said in the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, but it gives you that value that you want to be having. And it's a similar thing with the creatures that enable sneaking in Dream Beavers, the 1/1 that drains 1 and then you scry 1, and Featherbrained Filcher, which when it leaves battlefield, you create a food token. It's a 0/2 flyer. As for the payoffs, I mean, I selected Orokusaki Shredder Rising. I think that this is mainly the payoff because this is the color combination that has all the 1-drops in the format, really. Because you have the Dream Beavers, you have the Squirrel Noise, you have the Filcher. And being able to sneak it on turn 2 is actively good, because Orokusaki has, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. And then it's a 3/1. So if you manage to sneak it, at least you draw 1 card and then you're left with this 3/1. You were going to trade it with almost everything, but if you drew a card, then you don't care that much. Having said that, there was a card that, without sneaking, just enters the battlefield, draw a card, lose a life in OTJ, and I probably would rather have that than Orokusaki in my deck. Then there's Splinter, who gives others ninjas you control +1/+1. It's a 2-mana 1/3, so that's a pretty decent body for a Lord. I think that the 1/3 is slightly better than a 2/2 because it can at least block sometimes. It does have Menace as well, so it can be later maybe used to sneak other things in and then recast it. Also, it has Sneak itself, and that means that if you're making an attack with a wide board of ninjas, if you manage to sneak Splinter, you sort of boost your team and maybe you make the combat horrendous for your opponent. And Quintessential Katana, this is an interesting equipment. It costs only white, so 1 mana. It has equip cost of 2, and it gives +1/+1, and whenever this creature deals combat damage, untap it, and you gain 2 life. Which means, of course, that then you can block with it and you gain 2 more life. It's like very hard to raise that particular card. Also, it has, whenever a ninja you control enters, you may attach this equipment to it, which with Sneak means that often it can happen mid-combat, which is interesting as an option. Okay, so this is your deck, Springbok, and can you walk us through it?
All right, sure. So basically, I have like a bunch of 1-drop, like 4 1-drop enablers for sneaking some stuff in. I have some cards that would like to be snuck in. And yeah, I have Featherbrain Filcher and Dream Briefers as 2 good uncommon ways to enable sneak. And, the rest of the deck
Do you even have the Filcher? I think that some changes have been, because there's Leonardo, Dream Beavers, and Squirrel Noise, but no Filcher.
I think I took it out because I was a little skeptical of it if you're not sneaking stuff in. But
yeah, I mean, it's just an O2 in that case. But Leonardo and the Beavers looks like a way better version of the Filcher.
Yeah. You get a lot more value when you play the card in general.
I kind of think that you just want as many 1-drops as you can get in Black-White, though, roughly. Like, I want to play like 6. But maybe I'm off it.
I can see that happening, and that with like as many Orokusakis as you can get as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Because then at least maybe you have 1-drops, but at least you have a lot of them, and maybe you can overwhelm your opponent with that.
Yeah.
You also have High Flying Ace.
Oh yeah, so I put High Flying Ace in there because a lot of the ninjas just have like abilities when they hit your opponent. This is a way to potentially get them through after they have been snuck in, so you can get some more value out of it. And it's like a solid sink for your mana if you really need it to be.
Okay, I
And-
mean, Karai's technique I don't think requires too much explanation. It's just a good card.
Yep.
You put Jenica, but Apple Big Sister. This is one of the land cyclers we were talking about. This one costs 5 mana. It enters. It's a 3/3, and when it enters, you create a 2/2 red mutant creature token, and it has plain cycling, obviously. I think that this one can be pretty solid in either white red or black white.
Yeah. So the reason I put it here is the reason I put Karai in there is because you can theoretically like kind of cheat this into play a turn early by cycling it and then trying to sneak Karai through as well because it puts it directly onto the battlefield. So you can get some nice free value there. It works with like the other land cyclers too. So
yeah. What other? Oh yeah, you have also Bebop in there.
Yeah.
Which is the other land cycler? That's the black one. This one is 5/4. Is it?
I think it's just I think it's a 5/5, and it has some text about being blocked. But so it's like much worse, but you can still sneak it in and get some.
And then bunch of removal.
Yeah, and I put the +1/+3 in flying trick here because again, a lot of your ninjas do have like abilities that trigger when they damage your opponent. So
you want to give the proactive flying so that they cannot block.
Yeah. Plus, it makes combat harder for your opponent, which is useful in this kind of deck. So
You
didn't put a rare. You don't need it.
I didn't put any rares in any of them. I just wanted to see how it would look without it.
We're rareless.
That's fine. I mean, there's definitely plenty of good rares in this set, and I don't know. Is it okay not to put rares when we know that they're going to define so many drafts?
Oh, I mean, you don't need us to tell you that Agent Bishop or Sally Light are busted, do you? So
no, I don't need it. I think I learned that.
Yeah,
but I think that the black class is particularly good in ninjas, and maybe that's not like an obviously busted card. It needs some at least level of synergy, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I will say, I do think one of the weaknesses of black white is that there really isn't very many ways to there really aren't very many mana sinks in black white, and that's somewhat interesting. But there is a lot of scrying, so figuring out how to navigate that is in deck building is interesting. Like maybe you want to. Maybe it's dangerous to play too many ones, but I mean, like many of your 1s and 2s scry, like April O'Neil and Dream Beavers. Maybe you want to like play more aggressively or play like 16 lands to help with that. Maybe you want to play more equipment, like value equipment a little higher. I have no idea.
Yeah, you just re-equip the skateboard 4 times and you used all your mana. That's
of course.
You can activate High Flying Ace.
Talking about this is maybe that's why Uneasy Alliance will be better. Uneasy Alliance is a mana sink. You pay 5 mana to exile it to make a 1/1 ninja.
Yeah,
5 mana 1/1.
You can activate High Flying Ace 4 times too. You know.
Yeah, High Flying Ace also like a mana sink. So yeah, there we go. We have found it. This is the mana sink that you want to be having. No, but it is a valid concern. I mean, because if you don't win quickly, then you will have problems pushing damage through. Yet another reason why the black class is busted in this deck. Okay, blue-green. Oh, someone changed my deck name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I changed it because I thought it would be because we're using mutagen to evolve these things. So
I know, but I called it Simic things because it just doesn't have clear personality and it hopes to open bombs from other colors.
Pokemon now?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. There is Squirtle. There is Catosaurus. I don't know. Lobsteroid.
There's
I don't know. I don't know the Pokemon names. Yeah, I mean, I know Slowpoke and Psyduck. That's Psyduck. See.
Yeah, true.
That's more Howard the Duck than Psyduck. Okay. Yeah. So Simic is all about the mutagen tokens and the 2 hybrid commons. One of them, makes a mutagen token on entry. That's Slither Encrypted 3 and Simic Hybrid 2/3. When it enters, make a mutagen token. The other, Punk Frogs, is a 5 mana 4/5 with Ward 3.
I really
seen
don't
that card before.
understand this card. Is it like you can put more mutagens onto this card, and since it has a ward, you won't be punished by removal as much? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's big, but 5 toughness is going to be key to survive all kinds of removal. So maybe that's the Punk Frogs is immortal or something. It aligns well by the sizing. I also don't think it's going to be an important card. There are just so many better
There's also
ones.
so many Death Touch creatures. There's like so many Death Touch creatures.
Oh yeah, that's true. Death Touch is prevalent. Oh, nice word you have there. Here's my 1/1. Okay, we have Genghis Frog as a signpost. That one actually looks pretty good. It's 2 mana, well, Simic mana for 1/3 trample. Why does it have trample, you ask? Well, because whenever Genghis Frog or another mutant you control enters, you create a mutagen token. So you can stack tokens on it and it becomes big. Because every time you play some kind of a turtle, Ninja Turtle, they're always mutants. So you're going to get a lot of those mutagen tokens across the game. And Lessons from Life, that's 4 mana, draw 3 cards. You may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield tapped. So it's both card draw and ramp spell. So that's clearly what this deck wants to be doing. It wants to be hitting lands, ramping, and then potentially moving to cast larger things. That's why the enablers I selected for this deck, I struggled with selecting enablers, because what is an enabler for that? Something that makes a mutagen? I thought not. I thought that the true enablers for these decks are cards that let you survive till the late game and cards that let you cast big things earlier. That's why I selected Mona Lisa Science Gig, the 1/3 mana dork, because that allows you to not only ramp but also potentially survive, because 1/3 can block those early attackers. And Crustacean Commando, which is an 0/3 that creates a mutagen token, because it creates a mutagen token, but importantly it's a 2-drop that will again block those early attackers and let you survive till the later game. Potentially there should be the Frog Butler here, but I think we all know that Frog Butler is quite good. And I had the same problem for payoffs. So what I selected is Rocksteady Crash Courser. 6 mana 7/7, can't be blocked by more than one creature. Boards you control can't be blocked by more than one creature. Forest Cycling 2. This is a land cycler which helps you to hit those lands and make sure that you can cast expensive spells, and it's an expensive spell which is also along the same lines. So I thought, okay, if you want to be ramping, you definitely want to draw your lands and you definitely want to have something to ramp to, and 7/7 is a decent body. Then I selected Everything Pizza, because once you're having those Frog Butler, Mona Lisa, and a couple of other things, you're going to have a lot of colors of mana. So I thought maybe Everything Pizza is going to be helpful. And it also finds you a land which is along the ramp plan. And it gives you some value later. So maybe, as we discussed earlier with Jason, it's more like a reward than a reason to be multicolor. But maybe in Simic, you're just naturally going to be multicolor because your dorks are fixing for 5 colors. And also I selected Novel Nunchaku. That's a 3 mana equipment. When it enters, you attach it to something. And when you do, that creature fights something an opponent controls. And it gives +1/+1 and trample to the creature that it equips. And this, I think my main thing for it is that the blue-green will be able to make a lot of large creatures, but also a lot of those large creatures don't have trample. Look at Rocksteady Crash Courser, it's just a 7/7. Can be blocked for days by those 1/1 tokens that white-red or even blue-red can create. And trample on that Novel Nunchaku, I found, is one of the most important features of the card, because it allows you to push damage through the wide boards of 1/1s that normally would be a problem for you. And then I have a couple of other key cards. I thought Ice Cream Kitty, just as a key card that shows you that I think that Simic can branch into sort of Sultai Soup and splash Pizza Face or something. And Ice Cream Kitty can be a key card that will allow you those sort of sacrifice synergies in the deck. Ooze Spill is another key card. I think it's a counter spell. This deck is a bit lacking on interaction side compared to everything that has black, white, or red. And that's been an eternal problem with Simic. So it's nice to have a hard counter that does something that is along the plan of your deck. Because Ooze Spill is just a counter spell that makes a mutagen token for 3 mana. And then Return to Sewers is the same rationale, that it's an instant speed interaction that if you play Ooze Spill, you might as well have Return to the Sewers. And then this is a put creature on top or bottom of its owner's library, and also you create a mutagen token. So it's interesting from that aspect. Yeah. But we do have Jason's deck, and that of course chucks all my thoughts through the window. So walk us through your
deck.
Quote unquote deck.
This is 10 cards. So basically, I think that the blue-green stuff is like a little nonsense, and it kind of doesn't matter. Okay, here's my theory about the set, which led to me putting these 10 cards on a slide or whatever. Or I guess I put it in a seal deck.tech, and then Sirkovitz kindly transferred that onto a slide. I think that in this set, it looks like the commons are a little underpowered, except for a couple commons that matter. And like the uncommons and rares are a lot more powerful. That is the feeling I get from looking at the set. And there's like a lot of cards at like uncommon and rare that matter a lot more. And like, it would be nice to cast more of those cards. So like maybe you can play some like sort of soupy thing where you just like the things in green that you're leveraging are just like the fixing. Like Frog Butler specifically stands out as something that's very strong. Mona Lisa also pretty strong, I think, if you can leverage it well. And then blue gives you card draw to be able to draw into your more powerful cards, but the blue is like less important. Like maybe you pair it with block to have better removal. I don't know. And then you just like play the powerful cards that you have in whatever color, and like it doesn't need to be base blue green. It's mostly base. The concept is mostly base green to like develop your mana, as I usually like doing in soupy decks in various formats. And I think like it probably should work pretty well. Green also has a couple other commons that are nice for this kind of strategy. Specifically, there's the 4 mana 4/4 that gains 2 life with reach and trample, which is just like a good blocker, I think. Just like a nice tempo blocker, curves well with Frog. And then Ragamuffin Raptor is just like a common that like matters and helps increase the it helps magnify the impact your best cards are going to have, because you're going to like rebuy your best cards with it. So like I think like green works pretty well for this kind of space.
Okay, talk me through the Sewer Valence camp then.
Did you know that 5 mana, draw 2 cards, tap 2 things at instant speed is very strong? Also, did you know that you can split this one up? Also, did you know that you can untap things? I don't know, it's just very strong. I think it's just a generically strong card, and something that you would definitely want to have if you are, if you are doing this space of things. Did you know that you can use Sewer Valence Cam as literally just like net 3 mana divination if you have a mana dork? Because what you do is you can go like, if you don't care about tapping down their things, you can go Sewer Valence Cam, tap Frog Butler, cast Sewer Valence Cam, untap Frog Butler, tap Frog Butler and 3 lands, crack Sewer Valence Cam, untap Frog Butler, and you've only spent 3 mana because you've spent 5, but you've made back 2 mana.
Imagine that with Mona Lisa then.
Yeah. You could do a like basically ritual Valence Cam with Mona Lisa.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think that I just want you to highlight it, because I think that a lot of people will slip. That card may slip through the cracks in the early days, and I think that it's worth talking about making that card easier to parse for the audiences in general, because it looks quite innocuous, but I think it has a lot of usage. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to be one of those cards that is going to be doing better in the hands of high win rate 17 lens users, because of just the sheer amount of choice that you have with it. Do I use it to block? Do I use it to tap an attacker before it can attack, or whatever. I mean, there's just a lot of things that can happen, and that's even without thinking about when to crack it and how to use the cracking untap or something. So, what would you accompany this deck with?
Powerful cards. I don't care what color. I don't care what they are. Just like, I don't know, powerful, impactful cards that don't require synergy. And I think there's plenty of those in the set at higher rarities.
So yeah, there is the Mythic Wrath. There is the bunch of solid green creatures. There is the hybrid rare cycle, I guess. Yeah, I mean, so this is your classic deck. Build a mana fixing engine filled with rares. Also, it's going to be interesting because it's going to be mainly pick to draft on Arena, so you might be getting some quite late strong cards if there's no one that's drafting this particular color pair.
Oh, face up, I don't care about arena drafts at all. The only reason I have for caring about this set is that I am playing the limited qualifier enrichment.
No, I do know that, but
the one and only time I'm ever caring about this set, and that one I believe will be a pick 1 draft, which is nice for top 32. Assuming you get past it. Yeah.
There will be pick 1 draft on Arena as well. So
yes, there will be.
Yeah, but do we want to play it? No.
Well, I don't want to.
I mean, I'm probably going to exclusively play pick 2 draft just to get the hang of the format, because I'm pretty sure that we're going to be having it more and more frequently.
No, I hope not. I hope not.
It has its utilities in the in the guild format. Because also, like, drafting 8 people in the guild format, it has its drawbacks as well. Although that does become a bit of a lottery of how which guild was opened the best in packs 2 and 3. Okay, green black. Its theme is disappear, and that means that it's not strictly a graveyard themed color combination like Golgari usually does. There are some graveyard synergies though, so it's worth keeping an eye on that. The hybrids, Ice Cream Kitty, I talked about it briefly, but it's 1 and a hybrid for a 1/3. You can pay 2 and sacrifice another creature or token to draw a card. Sorcery speed, importantly. Don't forget about it. Don't leave it for the end of your opponent's turn just to sacrifice something to draw a card and realize you can't. Also, it has the food ability, so 2 tap, sacrifice this creature, you gain 3 life. Obviously, you cannot use it on the turn you cast it. Then you have Putrid Pals, that's the double pipped hybrid, so 2 and Golgari hybrid for a 3/3 Death Toucher, but it enters with 2+1/+1 counters if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn. So 5/5 Death Toucher for 4 technically, if you engineer the right turn, which is not terrible as a stat line. It's still a dumb beast, but it's a dumb beast that survives quite a lot of removal in this set. Then we have the signpost. There's Pizza Face Gastromancer, 3 black green for a 2/4. Enters, you create a food token, and it has disappear whenever at the beginning of your end step. So this one checks at the end step if something left the battlefield under your control this turn. And then if something did, you can put 3+1/+1 counters on up 1 other target artifact or creature. If it isn't a creature, it becomes a 0/0 mutant creature in addition to its type. So you can make a mutagen token into a 3/3, or you can make something bigger. And it has a very useful ability. 10 tap, sacrifice Pizza Face, you gain 15 life. So it's sort of as good as 5 foods. And it is a food, basically. So you can tutor it with the card that tutors for food, which is an interesting option to have. And then there's Tainted Treats, 1 black green for an instant, destroy target artifact or creature. If its mana value was 4 or less, you create a food. And again, here I also had a bit of a problem with finding enablers. I found Michelangelo Mutant BFF. That's a 4/4 for 4 mana, and each creature you control with a counter on it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. That's the first ability. And then Michelangelo enters or attacks, create a mutagen token So I put it as an enabler because it can reproducibly make mutagen tokens. Arguably, also, if you have any creatures with menace, you can give them a counter and they can't be blocked. That's an interesting combo. And I put Escape Tunnel because it's a land that you can sacrifice to trigger the disappear for your creatures quite easily. Then I have the payoffs. Wild Westwind Avatar is a payoff and an enabler in one body. 7 mana, 7/7 Trampler. When this creature enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a token or a land, and if you do, you gain 3 life. And then disappear at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, you can draw a card. So that's expensive but pretty powerful combination of enabler and a payoff. And then there's Lord Dreg, Insect Invader. That's a legendary insect. 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer. And then at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 1/1 black insect warrior creature token with flying. And 3 and a green, you can sacrifice a token to draw a card. So if you have some leftover mutagens and you don't think that you need to put more power toughness on your creatures, you can convert them into a card. Which will create a 1/1 black insect warrior creature token with flying, which is arguably better than putting a +1/+1 counter on something. So that's an interesting option to have. And also you can, create a token, sacrifice a token, create the next token so you can sacrifice it later. So it can sort of create this personal howling mine at the risk of aging myself. And Michelangelo Game Master is a simple payoff. It's a 3 mana 3/3. It would disappear at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on Michelangelo. A couple of other cards that I thought were important. Frog Butler, I think, is still important in this deck. Anchovy and Banana Pizza, that's a 4 mana artifact food, but when it enters, destroy target creature, and you can still sacrifice it as normal food. And there is a Ragamuffin Raptor, that's a 5 mana for a 4/3. We talked about it in Jason's deck. When it enters, you return up to 1 creature or food card from your graveyard to your hand. So, for example, you'll be able to return Anchovy and Banana Pizza if you sacrificed it and rebuy a removal, which is a nice option to have. Springbok, you built the deck based on it, so walk me through it.
Sure. So I tried to build this as like somewhat of like the food payoff thing. So we have Career of Comestibles and the guac and marshmallow.
So just a Courier of Comestibles is a 1/2, and when it enters, you may search your library for a food card, which in your deck is either Anchovy and Banana Pizza or Guac and Marshmallow Pizza or Gastromancer.
Yeah.
Or you could potentially, if you played it, you could play the Ice Cream Kitty, which is also a food.
Yeah, that card would have been good here. I kind of forgot to put it in, but I think it would be good here as well. And I'm trying to somewhat enable disappear while also trying not to get too run over before I can get my engine set up. So that's why I have the spell that exiles a creature with target with mana value 3 or less, and a bunch of disappear payoffs for.
Okay, Guac and Marshmallow Pizza. Walk me through it, because I'm still split on this card. I played a bit in the early access and I had issues with that card in the way that in this deck, in this specific black-white deck, it just fits so well on theme because you have those Couriers of Comestibles and you want to be sacrificing things, and Guac and Marshmallow Pizza lets you do that at will later in the game. But there was just not many good moments to use it as a combat trick. That was my personal experience, at least.
I feel like here, if you search for it, then your opponent is going to have difficulties attacking into you as well. So if your goal is to buy some time, then just having it face up and representing it on blocks is going to be pretty useful. And also sometimes it's worth cycling a card for some of these disappear triggers as well. So even if you don't necessarily have a spot to use it as a combat trick to get full value out of it, it can still be quite good.
Wait. You are on my podcast. We don't talk about not getting full value here. It's a forbidden concept. It's full value every single time. No, you're right. Sometimes it's good to think of the long-term value.
You'll eventually
And
get
then
value out of it one way or the other, I feel. So
I see you are high on the Ragamuffin Raptor. I think that it looks solid. I mean, it's like Gravedigger for one more mana, but there's a 4/3, which is not a horrendous body.
yeah, and I mean you can get back the food stuff with it too. So you can get back your kill spell, you can get back your combat trick if you want to push for lethal, you can get back Pizza Face if you really want to. So
Well,
you can get it back anyway, but
you can get back at any stage. That's true. I would have to double check how many foods are there in the set, because I actually didn't look through that. And Frog Butler is just, I think, generically one of the best green cards. Also makes your Tenderize good early in the game and relevant all through the game. So that's interesting. Lord Dre. Oh yeah, Shredder's Armor. I think that this one you put as not really as an equipment, because Shredder's Armor is a 2-mana equipment. When it enters, you just attach it to anything that you have, and you can equip it by sacrificing another non-land permanent. Activate only once each turn. So they capped it. You can't sacrifice too many things on one turn. But you put it mainly here as a sacrifice fodder. Well, not fodder, sacrifice enabler.
yeah, like it's something you can play like that triggers your disappears for free, so you can kind of turn like Krang's ETB or Pizza Face's ETB or Pizza Face's disappear trigger into more of things you can just do on curve, which can be useful potentially.
I think that card it's like, it's not homeless. It has technically 2 homes, but I think that it misses something to be great in either of those homes. At least that's my gut feeling about the card. It's like one keyword of some sort. Give menace. If it gave menace, it would be good with your big things to attack through, and in ninjas it would be good because it makes things harder to be blocked, I guess.
The problem with it in ninjas is that you would have to re-equip it a bunch, which is like not ideal, I think, for that deck. Regardless.
Yeah, but maybe maybe if it gave menace, it would be worth it sometimes, at least. I don't know. I mean, it misses something, because I think that technically it was printed with white black in mind more than black green. I mean, I assume that they want to spans both of the archetypes, but thematically it sort of fits with the ninjas, I guess.
Yeah, but like I don't think that deck is going to have a lot of fodder to enable it, but like this deck is not that concerned about attacking, so it is like a bit of a tough sell here. But it is kind of nice that if you have like a lot of 4 and 5 drops with like disappear on it, you can kind of, at least have it go off the turn you play them.
So, what are your thoughts on the Pizza Face?
Well, Pizza Face I think is like pretty strong, and if you can like if you have the armor in play, you can like turn it on right away. So if you get like your 3/3 and the 2/4 for 5 mana, you're doing a lot better than just playing a 2/4 and a food for 5 mana. So that's kind of why I at least thought that if you're going to put Shredder's Armor somewhere, you should put it here, because the disappear cards are a lot better if you get to trigger them right away, because they're kind of pretty understated otherwise. Like Krang is like, you don't want to play Snapping Drake in the current year, usually, if it's only going to be Snapping Drake. So why not try to make it at least a little better?
Okay, then we move to white-red, and the theme of it is play creatures. A very novel idea for Boros decks that never has been... they sometimes try to experiment with those Boros archetypes, and play creatures is a new take on it. So for the hybrids, we have Mechanized Ninja Cavalry. It's 1 in the hybrid, Boros hybrid. It's a 1/1, and when it enters, you make another 1/1. Both of them are artifact creatures, which is strange because it technically is a Boros hybrid, but it so well fits in blue-red, which is all about artifacts. So I think that card is going to be potentially more played in Izzet than it is in Boros. I think, at least. And then we have the EPF Point Squad, which is the double-pipped hybrid. And that's 1 and Boros for a 2/1. but when another creature you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So, sort of, what was that? Avatars fanatics? Avatars...
Avatar enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts, there you go. Avatar enthusiasts, sort of. And that card proved to be better than we thought, and this one triggers on any creature, not only on allies, which doesn't make a difference because all the creatures were allies in Avatar anyway. Then we have the signposts, and the creature signpost is the neutrinos. 2 and red and white for a 2/4 flying, and it has Alliance. Whenever another creature you control enters, the neutrinos get +1/+0 until end of turn, and whenever it attacks, you exile up to 1 target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. So I guess the dream there is that I cast the neutrinos on turn 4, on turn 5 I cast Jenica, Bad Apple, Big Sister, and then I exile it on attacks and then return to the battlefield sort of with haste and rebuy the ETB trigger or something like that. So yeah, that's an interesting card that can be pretty snowbally, but also can do not much. I guess the more ETBs you have, the better the neutrinos can become. And then the spell signpost is Go Ninja Go, red white for a sorcery, choose one or both. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And Go Ninja Go deals damage equal to the greatest power among creatures you control to target creature an opponent controls. So a bite spell, together with the blink spell. Enablers are selected are things that put multiple bodies. I put Jenica, Big Apple, Bad Sister. Jenica, Bad Apple, Big Sister. That's a 5-mana 3/3, and when it enters, you create a 2/2 red mutant creature token. I think it's the first time when I'm modestly excited for a white land cycler. They've been so bad all through the sets that had land cyclers, and finally I see one that is actually looks okay. 5 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 looks good. That has an option of sometimes bringing the land that I so urgently need. Maybe, some of those aggressive white-red decks may be more leaning to playing 16 lands, and a couple of land cyclers don't hurt you when you do that. And then Last Ronin's Technique, that's a 4 mana source instant, create 3/1/1 Ninja Turtle Spirit creature tokens. Or you can sneak it for 2 mana, and if it was snuck, then those creatures are enter play tapped and attacking. So this can create a lot of triggers for Alliance, and that's the main reason why I'm interested in that creature, in that spell, at least somewhat. And then we have some payoffs. I picked payoffs. Mighty Mute Animals, that card looks quite busted for an uncommon. It's 4 mana 2/1. When it enters, you make a 2/2, and it has Alliance. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So it's basically, what is it? 5/4 of stats across 2 to 3 bodies for 4 mana, which looks great to me. And we have Wingnut, Bat on the Belfry. 2 mana 1/2. Whenever another creature you control enters, it gains your choice of Flying, Menace, or Haste until end of turn. And when it attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I think it's a interesting way of, if you go wide, boosting your board. And Leonardo Leader in Blue, similar thing. 1 for a 2/1 that can get First Strike for 2 mana. And when it enters, if it was snuck, it gives creatures you control +2/+0 until end of turn. And it gets Sneak for 5 mana, which is expensive. But it's expensive for a reason. It comes with a sort of... what is it called? The +2/+1 card. What is the canonical +2/+1?
On the job, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, well, on the job, yeah, is one of them, I guess. Okay, and then a couple of other cards that are important. I think Raphael Tough Turtle is going to be very important for those decks. That's a 2 mana 1/3. Whenever another creature you control enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. This is your way of pushing damage without going into combat. We've seen this card in Tarkir Dragonstorm in Boros deck, and it was great. This one is legendary, so you cannot play too many copies of it. But on the other hand, it's also prime target for removal, so maybe you can play multiple copies of it. I think Uneasy Alliance is going to be an important card because those Boros decks usually have a problem with larger creatures. They create a virtual card advantage. You cannot attack into them because you're going to be hemorrhaging your board, and Uneasy Alliance is a cheap way of dealing with larger creatures. And also later you can sacrifice it to generate 1 more Alliance trigger, just like that. And Action News Crew, I think it's a nice looking 2-drop at common for this deck. It's just a 2/2 with Vigilance, but it is a channel ability. 6 mana, you can discard it, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and you draw a card. So this gives it a much more utility late in the game when 2-drops are usually outclassed by the board. You can convert it into 6 mana, draw a card, and boost the team, which maybe will make your team more competitive against the blockers of your opponent. And also, importantly, you can do it instant speed. Springbok, what did you build for us?
Right, so this is white-red alliance kind of payoff. So lots of cards that make multiple bodies, lots of cards that have payoffs for putting multiple bodies in play. And, we have, so the cards I chose to highlight here are Mighty Mutanimals and the Neutrinos, both of which are pretty strong, like payoffs for getting multiple bodies in play. Like the fact that the Mighty Mutanimals not only is a 2/1 and a 2/2, but gets counters when you play more things, like allows you to spread the counters around when you play more things is like quite strong, I feel. And the Neutrinos allows you to kind of, if you go like Neutrinos and then attack and blink your Mighty Mutanimals, then you're kind of really doing it as well. So probably pretty strong payoff.
Yeah, and then I picked the make a whiteboard cards here.
Yeah, I mean, like making 2/1/1s is going to be pretty important for multiple like alliance triggers on your cards, and they're also it's also useful to kind of blink it with like Go Ninja Go. I mean, it's not like the best target, but it's something that you're likely to have in play for that. And
it's like worth note that those cheap make 1/1s creatures are also going to be contested by the blue-red deck, which we're going to see next, I assume. So because they're both artifacts, Mauser Foundry and Mechanized Ninja Cavalry, both are artifacts. Which
Circo, you should let Jason back in because I think he's.
Jason sort of.
Yeah, my internet disconnected for a second, and I got kicked out, and then it's been a while.
Oh well, did you have anything to add for what color do we talk before? Golgari? Golgari had some. Well, we're going wide with the Boros right now. Oh, that's why I was getting Discord messages that I was ignoring.
Yes,
hey, I can't be moderating the episode and checking my Discord messages. I'm not like some streamers and podcasters and Hall of Famers that I know that will be playing Cube Draft while doing a podcast. No one particular in mind, but. Okay, so I think that might be the problem for this deck, that those cheap go white creatures are going to be contested a bit by the blue-red player in the pod. And then you have also Leonardo and Lita as sort of cheap creatures that can have utility in the late game, I would say. Especially with Lita.
Yeah, like Lita gets really big, really fast, like grows out of control. Already is a 1/3, so it kind of dodges, so it's already a little hard to kill. And then if you get a counter on it immediately, like four.
So it's a 2/1, Lita.
Oh, it's a 2/1. I thought it was a 1/3.
Leonardo is the 1/3. Leonardo Big Brother is the 1/3 that gets bigger in the power the more creatures you have, which is also like an interesting sneak target, because if you go really wide, and you can attack with one creature not being blocked even, then you can always sneak in Leonardo, a big brother, and then hit for like a truckload. That might be also a way of winning the combat in there.
It's got a pretty sneak cost too, Leonardo, I think.
Yeah, it's 1 mana, which probably shouldn't matter because, I mean, at the stage where you want to be sneaking it in, you probably have like 6 mana already. So, interesting thing, Old Hope, Alicat Blues. It's a 5 mana 4/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 2/2 red mutant creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. So, this is a 5 mana 4/4 with half haste, let's say. But in support, you destroy the token at the beginning of your next end step. But the neat part is that for 2 mana, target attacking creature token gains indestructible until end of turn, which means that you don't sacrifice them, you destroy them, which means that you can pay 2 mana to keep those 2/2s permanently, which is an interesting take on that card, because I don't think we've seen something like that before. At least I don't remember. Normally you sacrifice creatures at the end step, not destroy them. So
yeah, I don't think we've seen anything like this before.
Yes, I'm just saying that so that the listeners will notice that the weird change of text has a meaning, and that has all to do with this indestructible ability that it can give. But notably, it can also give indestructibility to any token.
Yeah.
Okay, artifacts matter, the last archetype that we have, at least the last official one, because of course someone had to invent the Dimir deck. I'm not going to be, again, pointing fingers. We have the 1-pipped hybrid is Mauser Mark III. 1 is a hybrid for a 2/3 creature. It's an artifact creature, and it can't attack unless you control another artifact. So you really need to go all in on artifacts in order to be playing that card. You really need to have almost a guarantee that you have another thing. But yeah, 2/3 is a bit over the rate for a common 2-drop. So I guess that's the advantage that you're getting. And then there's Nobody. Nobody is the double-pipped hybrid.
Yes.
1 is it for an artifact creature. When it enters, return up to 1 other target artifact you control to its owner's hand, and you scry 1. So you can rebuy some value later in the game, or even earlier in the game. I don't know, return like a Mauser Foundry, and create another colorless robot artifact creature token at some later stage. Signposts, for 5 mana we have the creature, that's a 5 mana 3/3, which doesn't look like a great deal, but it comes with a 1/1 robot, so it's a 3/3 and a 1/1 for 5, which is still not good a deal, but it has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gets +3/+0 and gains first strike and vigilance until end of turn. And that already is big, because imagine that you have like a Nobody on board. And by Nobody, I mean the card Nobody, not Nobody. The turn you cast Baxter Stockman, you can attack with Nobody as a 6/4 first striker, which is great. And then from then on, you can give the 1/1 token +3/+0 first strike and vigilance. And things that get vigilance, of course, can stay later for the block, which makes your racing extremely efficient, because it's really hard to deal with large first strike creatures, and this will all but guarantee it. So it will have to eat removal for you to stop that attack, after which you are still left with the 1/1, which is not terrible. Then Brilliance Unleashed is another multiple for 1. It has choose 1 or both. First thing, it deals 5 damage to target creature. Second, choose target artifact card in your graveyard, return it to the battlefield if it's an artifact creature card. Otherwise, return it to the battlefield still, and it becomes a 3/3 robot artifact creature with flying. So, say you return Mauser Foundry. I mean, it can be quite easy that you play Mauser Foundry on turn 2. On turn 5, you sacrifice Mauser Foundry to deal 3 damage to target creature, and on turn 6, you kill another creature and you return Mauser Foundry, but this time it's a 3/3 flyer. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Talking about Mauser, we talked about Mauser Foundry, but this is a 2 mana artifact, When it enters or leaves, you make a 1/1, and you can sacrifice it to deal 3 damage to target creature. As far as payoffs go, this archetype seems, to me at least, that it has the most payoffs, because we have simple one like Donatello Turtle Techie. That's just a 4 mana 3/4. When it enters, you draw a card if you control an artifact. That's just a solid body that draws a card. If it draws a card 95% of the time, great creature. If it draws a card 10% of the time, not great. Which means that you will have access to quite a lot of that in the blue red deck, because maybe the blue-green deck is going to be much less interested in it. Then you have Casey Jones, Jury Rig Justiciar. 2 mana, 2/1 with haste. That's already decent. And when it enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. And you know, if you can make it draw a card 60% of the time, that seems like a very good deal to me, especially that it draws a spell, so it draws something that you'll be happy casting. And then we have maybe like a lesser payoff, General Trog, Heart of Stone, 5 mana 4/3 trample. When it enters, you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target creature. So basically, literally Flametongue Kavu. And maybe, you know, Mauser Foundry is again something that you might be willing to sacrifice, but maybe you have like a mutagen token lying around or something. You're happily going to sacrifice a mutagen token to deal 4 to some creature. And you have things like Donatello, Way with the Machines, a 3 mana 1/2. Whenever an artifact enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on Donatello. And it's flying 1/2. So it's going to be very quickly a big flying threat in those type of decks. And there's plenty of other things that pay you off for playing artifacts, and also a lot of them at higher rarities. Other key cards I selected, Metalhead. It's just like a great card, probably going to be one of the best uncommons in the set. 5 mana, Robot Turtle, 4/4. When it enters, you return up to 1 target artifact or creature to its owner's hand. And for red, you can also sacrifice an artifact to put a counter on Metalhead, and it gains menace and haste until end of turn. So that's like sort of an uncommon version of Kappa. What is it? Kappa
Cannoneer.
what? Kappa Cannoneer. Isn't it an uncommon version of Kappa Cannoneer, sort of? I mean, clearly it's worse than that.
Friendly.
Clearly it's worse than that, but it's an uncommon for, for all purposes.
Kind of like Spike Shot Harrier, really. Except
Yeah, it is like sort of like Spike Shot Harrier, but just way better. Because Spike Shot Harrier, like, okay, it turned back clock on the on top speed or whatever it's called. This one can really grow, and if opponent is tapped out, can just one shot an opponent, like for 7 or something.
It's very annoying to block, that's for sure.
Yeah, and also threat of activation is not nothing. Return to Sewers also. This is a way of making artifacts without an artifact spell, because it does create a mutagen token. That's why I selected this as a key card. So let's look at your Springbok. What did you build us here?
And this is a deck that tries to take advantage of what I think are the really good like uncommon incentives to have like a bunch of artifacts, and then like you have like a lot of ways to like pick up your artifacts and put them back and like recast them and sack them and just like get a lot of value by casting a bunch of artifacts over and over again, and eventually you kill all their stuff and you attack them, they die. I'm just
trying to check what are the odds of hitting with it. Sample size.
I tried to get them as high as they could, but
let's see. You have 11 artifacts in this deck. If I remember, I'm in a different window now, so it's calculate. So with 11 artifacts, you have a sort of 75% to hit.
I think it's actually 12 because of the metalhead. But
oh yeah, maybe. Okay, I'm just trying to assess the sort of odds. With 6, you're 50-50. With 8, you're 63%. With 10, you're 72. So that's like, yeah, probably 9 is more than enough for the Casey Jones to be a solid card. I'm not sure about the purple dragon punks. I think that they're not as good as you might think.
Yeah, I mean, this is the spot for them if you're going to play them. So
Yeah, no, of course it is a spot. I just think that the card is just generally not good because mainly of the sizing of the artifact spells. They are not that expensive, so you're not ramping like a 2-drop into 4-drop that often, because your 4-drop of choice is probably Donatello the Turtle Techie, and not a 4-mana artifact. I mean, it's maybe Henchbot, but also maybe that's too early to cast them because they don't have anything tapped. But that's,
that's why you have
splitting hairs.
The camera. You have the camera to tap their guy so you can henchbots it.
Hey, but then you cannot do it on turn 3. But yeah, that definitely this is a combo. Sewer Valence, Cam, and Henchbots, allowing you to, for 5 mana, basically do the combo.
Yeah, you can also really get you if it's played against you, so watch out for that.
So I also highlighted some that removal can also be synergistic with artifacts, and Spicy Oatmeal Pizza, Brilliance Unleashed. This is a combo in its own because you can of course sacrifice the pizza to rebuy it later with Brilliance Unleashed while killing something else. So you can get those reproducible kill combos one way or another.
Yep, and you can also get back your camera and draw more cards.
Yeah, it works with so many things, and because it deals 5 damage, it kills so many things that it will surely give you some kind of a breather. Yeah. Okay, and that covers all the 5 main color combinations. But Jason, you have another one for us. And it's literally almost a deck.
Yeah, I even put 23 cards in it. So basically, I was looking at some of the colors and trying to figure out a lot of times when I do these archetype things, I try to figure out what does each color do. And one card kind of stood out to me. This Buzz Bots card, this 2-mana 1/1 Flying Vigilance. When it dies, draw a card. And it specifically, it stood out to me that this plays pretty well with a lot of the different synergies in the set, whether it be sacrifice stuff with disappear. Obviously sacrificing this is a little bit of value, maybe. Plays well with mutagens because growing this is kind of nice. You have a larger flying vigilant creature that your opponent has to trade with, and then when they trade with it, you get to draw a card. Plays somewhat nicely with sneak in that it gives you a thing that your opponent is unlikely to be blocking that easily. And so I kind of think that it's kind of nice to just build a blue core around this card. Just having things return to the sewers or the counter spell to make mutagens to put on it, and then maybe you have some black cards that let you sneak off of it. Specifically Orokusaki looked interesting to me, and Mind Transfer Protocol as something that lets you suit it up, so to speak, to reference a Kamigawa Neon Dynasty card. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it could maybe be the base of some sort of Delvery kind of deck in blue-black.
Why do you want to Mind Transfer Protocol? To block or to attack?
To interact in combat. I think, I don't know. I think Mind Transfer Protocol is just a pretty strong card.
Because I think I'm looking at those Buzzbots, and I see another card that is going to be severely underdrafted, but so good with it, and it's the Pain 1/1. Is it called Pain 1/1?
Yeah, Pain 101 is another one where I don't know. It's just Buzzbots is a free okay, you can just attack with this for free. It has vigilance, so then your opponent has, if they have a
exactly, because it has vigilance, the Pain 1/1 is so good with it.
Yeah, they have to think do I want to maybe try to block this to prevent a sneak, and if they do that, then you can use Mind Transfer Protocol to blow them out, or if they don't block, well, they can still need to think about Mind Transfer Protocol when they go to attack, So I don't know.
Yeah, that's all. So basically, you want to be playing it as a sort of value tempo.
Yeah, something like that. Not like 100% clear, but something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mind Transfer Protocol also works with surveillance cam as a sneak blocker, no?
Or for extra damage out of nowhere if you need to.
Oh, 4 damage if you need to. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to be on the lookout for those for the not supported archetypes, because even like in Lorwyn, they were still probably like 15% of the decks. And here, probably, especially in pick 2 draft, it's going to be less. In 8 people pods, it might be more of it, slightly. But it's worth thinking about them, because if you don't think about how to build them, you can't figure them on the spot when you're drafting, I guess. It's good to do a bit of pre-thinking so that at least you prepare yourself for being open to those possibilities, I guess.
Yeah, notably, one thing about this kind of space is this is mostly like a thought in blue, and like black just seemed like the natural way to like augment it. But like you could do this with other things. It's just like the blue core seems like it could be coherent to me.
Oh, there is also one card that you can actually weirdly benefit from playing blue-black. There's the hybrid splinter. It's a white-black hybrid, but it does have a blue ability to give ninja unblockability.
Oh,
Because I think that they had to put a blue ability on it just so that it's playable in Commander, because all the ninjas are blue. And the side effect of that, that might actually be helpful to get your Orokusaki's attack something and be unblockable and draw a card or something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I figured out the weird synergy for your deck. There you go. All right, I think that yeah, as you can see, that this deck is a lot of tempo, kind of removal, bespoke bow, sewer, valence cam, return to sewers, also hard removal, anchovy and banana pizza, buzzbots, and making them into, I don't know, a 3/3 or something with some mutagen tokens, or just prolonging the game long enough with this card advantage plus tempo removal, and finalizing the game like that. So yeah, I think that this is it. If you are interested in those skeletons and see them on your own, or maybe try to build them, like, first of all, I should have told that earlier, but I mean, we build them using sealeddeck.tech, which is a great tool for that, and they're amazing people who help building tools for limited junkies like us, and they are very useful, and they listen to suggestions and implement them, which is great. So give them some love. If you want to see those skeletons, I will put the slides for this presentation on my Patreon somewhere tomorrow when I put it on YouTube. And it's going to be available to everyone, because I always make those slides available for free. Oh yeah, actually someone did the prediction for top cards apart from me. You can also see those predictions. Maybe some other people are going to put theirs, but I doubt it, because of low interest in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I think is a mistake. I don't think it's going to be a terrible set. It's not going to be like an all-timer or anything, but yeah. With that, dear crew members, do you have anything to plug? Let's maybe start with Jason.
I don't really have anything to plug.
God, I mean, amateurs. Yes, you do.
Oh, sure. I have a podcast. Right. This is not the podcast I do with Ryan, so I can plug the podcast I do with Ryan. You can check out the Play of the Game podcast that I do with Ryan Condon. It's a great podcast where we talk about limited gameplay and go over like moments in limited gameplay. It's pretty nice.
It is a great podcast. It is a really, really great podcast, because there has been so little content about gameplay, and you go really deep. So I'll just give to the listeners the premise of it, because I don't think it's got enough traction, this podcast. Yeah. Ryan and Jason pick a situation from the game, or you can suggest them. You can send them your draft log and suggest them some kind of a weird board state and your hand and whatnot. And then they discuss for the next 20 to 40 minutes what should be done in this situation. And because you picked right, it's never obvious. So it's an interesting to not only see what was the right play, but also to go through your thought process. Because those things happen in our head in split seconds sometimes. And yet, when you start talking about it, there is a good half an hour material discussing the situation. And this is the interesting part about how we make those decisions in split seconds, while in fact, when we would have to explain what just happened, would take a longer piece of time. So yeah, it's great idea, great premise. And of course, you two are great people to do it because you do have thoughts, which is a rare case nowadays, but I really like listening to it. So now you got an extended plug, as it should be done, because it deserves it. And Springbok, what do you have to plug?
I don't have anything to plug for myself, but you all should watch Sam P's Rough Drafts podcast. It's excellent.
Wow, you're plugging the traitor that had something else going on today and couldn't join. No, I'm joking. Sam wanted to join, but something popped out a couple of days ago, and then he couldn't join all of a sudden. And we're all it's our loss is his gain, I guess, in this kind of in this particular situation. But yeah, Rough Drafts is definitely something that is worth listening to. We had two good podcasts popping out on the limited scene, and both of them are by people who are involved in the Skeleton Crew, because Ryan was also once a guest of the crew, so he's technically a skeleton crewer for life. I don't have anything to plug. I'll be recording the early data episode on Saturday. That's not a plug, that's just a statement of fact. And I will see you then. And thank you for being there, and thank you for all the people that raided, because I see that we have a suspiciously high number of viewers, which means that we had a raid. And see you in less than a week. Enjoy the turtles. Give the set a chance. I think it's going to have, at least 15 drafts in it, which is more than most people draft. So you should be able to enjoy moderately. Till then, bye bye.